Wow, has this been a day of weird stuff or what? Okay, I'm back live again because I was getting a lot of interference. Even though when I was doing that live stream a few minutes ago, you'll notice I had put three of them up. I'm just waiting for some people to come on here. Uh, the connection kept failing, and yet the Wi Fi icon said I had full strength. And I checked with the area there, and they had a fine connection. So I don't know what was going on there. With this technology, you never know. Hopefully, we don't run into that here. Uh, but at any rate, so I put up like three different updates there, live streams on YouTube, and kept getting interference. And then I went to Periscope, and the same thing happened on Periscope as I was trying to do a live stream on Twitter. So let me see if I can adjust this camera just a little bit better because I'm a little bit there. Let's see how that works. All right, a little more centered, I think. Actually, I could probably come up just a little bit more there. Let's do that. Okay, let's try this. How's that? Is that reasonable? Okay. The reason why I did the live stream, hi everybody. Yeah, everything was choppy earlier. Yeah, hopefully this time it's okay. Okay, loud and clear. Okay, hopefully we don't have any problems. But I've been running into this a few times today, and we know that there were going to be communications interruptions. I'm not saying that's exactly what it was, but we did have some information that Twitter and other live stream type attempts might have some problems. So good. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Todd. Thanks, everybody, for letting me know. Okay, so let's move on with this. And I'm very sorry for what happened. I will delete those again deals on YouTube after I'm done with this, getting this up. Okay, as you probably know, I didn't watch Tucker Carlson last night. I just didn't. And so a lot of you may already know this. But I got a message from Scott Anthony today, and of course you know that Scott Anthony has been working with me on this whole LV thing, and we did a really good workup, and we knew that there was a high value target. Apparently the only big mistake that I made, and I'm willing to admit it, was that there was no shooting from helicopters. Now I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Apparently, Tucker Carlson showed last night on his show some video footage that an attorney for a victim got a hold of, which I'm surprised that all of these videos, cameras and stuff weren't seized by the FBI. But when they do something like this, and they in this type of an operation, they could very well miss something. And so Scott Anthony told me about that. I don't know. It was just a few minutes before I put up that first live stream on it here on YouTube. What, about an hour ago, maybe, something like that. And so I wanted to put it out right away. And of course, as you know, I was having some connection problems. So I've come back to where I could sit down and review that video and take a good close look at it, so that we'd have something, that we could talk about that's going to have some substance to it. So as Tucker Carlson pointed out, and I will put the link to that video in the description box below. I've already tweeted it out on Twitter just in case you can check it there, but I will put it in the description box here below. And I have reviewed it, and yeah, it looks genuine. It does. I have a little problem with the disturbances going around. If you look at this, it shows a picture, and there's quite a bit of light in the background, and you can see at first that everything's kind of calm, and then there's a lot of debris that's being blown around. And they drag a guy who's been shot, apparently, behind a truck to protect him. My problem with the video is with the other people walking by. If the helicopter's that close that it's kicking up that much debris, why would they not be a little more concerned about that? At least some of the people just seem to be walking by with no real concern. A few are running, and of course, because there's no audio, I have no idea at the direction that they're shooting. Uh, yeah, I'm not sure who it was. Tucker Carlson said it was a guy, okay, or at least the information below the video said it was a man. But I don't know. Um, and I'll get to your questions here in a minute. I just want you to know that I looked at the video and I have a lot of questions about what it's doing. Now it's possible that that video camera was back quite a ways from where it's pointed with those vehicles parked and all that, and I'm not certain. I don't know where the location is, but I'm going to take it for its face value now. Okay, at this point. And the big thing, of course, here is that if it in fact it is a security camera footage that the FBI didn't confiscate, and if it's showing what really happened, and again, I'm going to say I have some problems with the people walking by. You'd think that they'd be running in an opposite direction, not right in front of where somebody's laying on the ground after having been shot. They couldn't have been dragged very far from there, where they were hit. But you know, funny things happen when bullets are flying, so I'm going to let that go for a minute. But what we do have here is a situation that totally puts down the storyline from the LVMPD, Sheriff Lombardo, and the FBI special agent in charge, Aaron Rouse, and the entire narrative that's come out of this. Now, I've been saying from the very start that it didn't match up what the official narrative was. I knew that there was a high-value target. We now know that it was Prince Salman from Saudi Arabia. That was one of the targets. I'm still saying there were some more. I don't know who they were at this point, although we've been hearing some information that possibly Trump was actually on McCarran Airport at the time. I have no way of verifying that. I don't know that, but there's no doubt that this thing was intended to go after a high-value target, number one, and then to do this shoot-up inside the festival as a warning to the Americans and to Trump and all of that. And it was done with people in the government knowing that this was going on. I'm pinpointing the FBI, the CIA, the FAA under the circumstances because of what we found out about these helicopters or call signs, transponders, all that kind of business. And it's just too obvious. Now, it's real interesting. Do you remember Sheriff Lombardo said, I really am getting tired of people saying that there's a conspiracy between the FBI and the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department and the Mandalay Bay. Hey, Sheriff Lombardo, if this video is what it purports to be, then you are a bullshit liar, just like the people that have got you by the neck there in the feds. And they've had them for a long time, and I've said that. So it's time that somebody, and I'd say it's you, Lombardo, that you climb out of this hellhole you're in and come clean, like I've been saying from day one. All right? And who else has been telling you that? But, he's not listening to me anyway. But, I've been saying that. So here we have this situation, and it's clear cut if this turns out to be a genuine video from a security camera that they overlooked, and it's certainly looking that way. I'm just not sure why this debris is going on for so long there, and those people don't seem to be in any kind of an urgent crisis for the most part. A few are, but some people may have been drunk. They may not have been considering the danger they were in. Who knows? But no, Rouse is not John Podesta's son-in-law. You're incorrect on that. I know a lot of people thought that at first, but in fact, the guy that John Podesta's daughter is married to, his last name is Rouse, but it's not this Aaron dude. It could be a brother, a cousin, or something like that, but it's not Aaron Rouse himself. Okay, so I wanted to get that information up because this is obviously showing that this is the first really good evidence that we found. I mean, we've had the circumstantial evidence of the sound of the rifles and the forensic acoustic analysis. hearing the gunshots, knowing that there was this running, apparently now that we know there was a running gun battle through the city. Remember what happened in Tropicana with that group coming in there, and I saw the weapon the front guy had, the guy in the point position, and it looked like an Israeli-made weapon, which, very possible Saudi Arabia could have. And I'll talk to you some other time about the connections between Saudi Arabia and Israel. If you look at the history, and I'll just say it real quick here, they're the same people. Okay, they're playing this game of the Saudis are Sunnis and the Israelis are Jews, but in fact there's a common ground there, and I don't want to get into that right now, but we have plenty of evidence about that. They're the same people, and they're playing Mutt and Jeff routine with those two, but that's really not the issue here. But I just want to bring that up so that you know. Okay, so here we go. What is the LVMPD and the FBI and the CIA and the FAA going to do about this one? Because there are people that obviously knew what was going on and either covered for it while the event's happening, and if not then, certainly afterwards. Okay, so this is real serious. We were right. Okay, multiple shooters from multiple locations. We knew the distances, 400 yards, 200 yards, etc. We didn't know the exact locations. There was a thing that Truth and Government put out. I think it was Truth and Government, of some triangulations. It may have been IntelliHub, but I think it was Truth and Government, showing maybe some other positions that these shootings could have come from. And it's very possible also that there were, I'm not going to say they were silencers, but they could be suppressors of some sort on some of the weapons. I don't know that for certain at this point. The important thing is that there are multiple shooters. The helicopters were involved. It wasn't Paddock alone, and I don't think it was Paddock at all. Certainly not. We didn't ever see any evidence of any real shooting from the 35th floor there, 32nd floor rather. And we had all the other information about all the different things that were going on along the strip, which would indicate that the paramilitary force was engaging or possibly engaging. I'm still not going to commit to that, but possibly engaging other security forces and police elsewhere on the strip. But Lombardo and Rouse have a lot of explaining to do at this point. Hi, Pam. Hey, I mentioned you today in the video. Did you see that? When I did the one earlier, it was like 45 minutes long, and they sprayed the heck out of the area where we are, and some of it started settling into the valleys here. Not so much in the Salt Lake Valley, but in the Utah Valley, it settled in pretty bad. It's not vehicular pollution, definitely not. But if you saw the spraying that's been going on, I know some people in central Utah have been telling you about it, but it was really bad. So, yeah, we're having some problems. So that was just kind of a side note. Yeah, bad everywhere. Okay, I'm going to just shut up now, take some questions. I put up a lot of videos today, a couple from my son, the one that's 45 minutes where I talk about the NSA. I show the NSA facility, and then I go into some other topics. And then I tried to do the live streams while I was out tonight with some friends, having a great time, and then I got the notice that Tucker Carlson had shown this video, and then I tried to put up some live streams and it didn't work. So you all kind of know where I'm coming from at this point, that we've actually now proven, again, basing on this video that Tucker Carlson showed, that we now have positive absolute proof, if that video is what it purports to be, that Lombardo and the FBI have been lying to us. So, okay, where do we go from here? The U.S. Marshal's Office is going to get to know some JAG officers soon, backed by MPs. Let's hope so. The Marshal Service, the FBI, Sheriff Lombardo, who has been shown to be a liar on more than one occasion, and I've talked about that before, and I won't go on. Was it Maverick helicopters? I'm not certain of that yet. There could have been some other military type that were in the area too. I really don't know at this point. I don't want to accuse Maverick of that. I don't know that we can say that definitively, but there's no excuse for the FAA to not be able to tell who those aircraft were and when. And the tower saying, they had they thought they were having shooting on the runway. That wasn't happening. What was happening there is that there was the security force either from the other party that had landed there, and you'd have to see the airport videos of the radar and all that to understand what I'm talking about. But there were aircraft being masked as Southwest airliners. There were helicopters that were not giving their proper call sign, disappearing, the transponders going off and on. All of this was occurring, and they didn't scramble any jets from Nellis? That's what I say. There are connections here that show that there's some real problems, that there's this war going on in the government. No excuses at all are acceptable, I agree. How do we hold them accountable? That's a good question, because that's what we elected Trump for, was to bring all this to light. Now, if he's covering for this, Dr. Pachinik, accused Trump of covering this up, of this being a false flag. False flag meaning he let it happen, sort of like the attack on Pearl Harbor. Now, Pachinik said nobody died. Obviously, that's not the case. But if Trump has known about this and he thinks that he needs to keep quiet because it has some geopolitical ramifications that he's trying to manipulate, he just needs to let go of those at this point, okay? He just needs to let go of them. I mean, we've got to stop this. You can do lies of commission and lies of omission. And this doesn't involve national security. People have already died now, all right? Hopefully this Q clearance patriot person is correct that, Trump has got, so many dozens, hundreds of indictments on these people, and he's going to go pick them up. But, we still haven't seen any of that, at least not overtly. I'm not saying it's not happening underneath, but we haven't seen anything positive on that at this point. So I'm calling Trump out as well. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people out there, 4D chess and all that, and it might still be. But at this point, he needs to just come clean about what's going on. Okay? He just needs to come clean. I give him a bigger pass than I do Lombardo and the FBI, because I don't know what they're feeding Trump. All right? But Trump can do it, and he needs to at this point right now. Okay, let me see what other questions. There has to be more outside camera footage. Well, I think most of that was confiscated by the FBI, just like they took the cell phone and the videos from the people. This was apparently a camera they overlooked. How that happened, I don't know, but apparently they overlooked it somehow. Trump alone can do little yet. Well, that's not true on something like this. Right now, he needs to call some people on the carpet, from Jeff Sessions to Christopher Wray to this Aaron Rouse dude to Pompeo. Everybody needs to be called on the carpet right now, and he just needs to come out, even without their input, and just come out and say, "Okay, I'm making a public statement. This is what happened. As far as we can tell, it's not the information that's been put out on the official narrative, and I want you to know that I know about that, and I'm calling people on the carpet, and heads are going to roll." That's what needs to happen right now. Right now. You can see how adamant I am about this. There's no excuse for this. None whatsoever. Compromise Trump? I don't know. I've never trusted Kushner from the start. A lot of people think he's okay. I've never trusted him. Not because he's Jewish, not because he's a Lubavitcher Jew, but because of who he thinks he is and the things that are in his past. There's some real problems with Jared, So I don't trust him. I don't. Sorry, but he even looks like a devil to me. That's not fair to say, but I wouldn't keep him as a friend. I wouldn't. If he wanted to marry my daughter with those eyes that he's got and the looks he's got, I might not be able to stop it, but I'm sure as hell not going to just agree with it just across the board. I'm just not going to do it. Yeah, Trump seems to think his hands are tied in many situations, and I call bullshit on that again. Okay? We didn't hire him to sit up there and complain and moan and groan and whimp and cry and complain to, oh, these guys aren't doing what I tell them to do, da-da-da-da. He's the frickin' POTUS. He needs to take charge. And if he's starting to shift, and I've been worrying about this for a long time, that he's more worried about his presidency than he is the country, and I'm not accusing him of that, but all I'm saying is that things still don't add up. And this one, he can't crawl out of this one. Not with all the stuff we know about Saudi Arabia, about Yemen, with all the stuff that's come out from Zach, from who used to work for Southcom. If you guys don't know if you guys know about that. The information now from Tucker Carlson, the information from vets like me and from others who have been analyzing this thing, and Mike Adams from Natural News and everybody else who has been able to look at this thing and use forensics to realize that the official narrative is wrong. So they just need to come clean. Saudi Arabia has always been a problem, and I'm going to say it one more time, okay, so everybody knows where I stand on this. You take Saudi Arabia and you put Israel right next to it, they're the same people, okay? It's a Mutt and Jeff routine, all right? One side pretending to be something that they aren't. And I'm not going to go into the details to it here, but it's been that way since before the Balfour Declaration, all right? That's the way it was meant to set up. Bandar, yeah, he's apparently been arrested. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, with direct ties to Bush. That's right. Okay, let me see what else we have here. Anybody want to say anything? By the way, thanks for everybody for coming on. Hello, I appreciate you being here. MSM says missile was Iranian due to markings on fuselage. Well, somebody made a good point, and I'm going to reiterate it. Why would they fire one missile? You know, something wrong there. Well, okay, Trump is fighting an uphill battle for, okay, that's true. I don't know who said that, but he asked for the job, okay? And you can't keep stroking these neocon Trotskyites and these deep staters in his administration. He just has to call them out, okay? If Sessions won't do it, and everybody's saying, well, Sessions is working on these indictments under the radar. Okay, maybe so. I don't know that. Or there might be some other thing going on. You know, the Marines could be doing it for all I know, or the Marshals. I don't know. But it's not adding up, and I'm tired of the excuses from Trump. He needs to call it out the way it is. If he is feeding this Q Clarence Patriot, who's next to him, who's apparently been on, at least I'm considering it to be a team, and Tracy Beans and I have talked about this to some extent, that this Q is probably, well, it can't be one person. It's got to be one or two or three people together that are working to get this stuff out, because they couldn't transmit this stuff even on secure communications totally from Air Force One. So without the CIA knowing about it. So there's got to be a team that's doing this of some sort. All right, but Trump just has to stop this nonsense. We're over it. 59 people are dead, more are dying every day that they're not telling us about. We've got other terrorist things happening. This thing that happened in Texas, that now we're finding out some more information on that. The possible bombing by the airport employee in where was that? Charlotte, just yesterday, I think that was. So yeah, Trump blames everybody but himself. Judy, I have to agree with you. Truman said the buck stops at his desk, and Trump needs to do the same thing. And I'm sorry if I've got to be hard on him, but this is getting asinine. It's getting absolutely asinine. Okay, no more bashing Trump. I'll let that go. We need to figure out how this thing can be pushed out, this information on Vegas, so that they're forced to do something. I just hope they don't think that the answer to the force they need is to come down hard on the American people, which might be what happens. The Middle East is going full retard. Boy, isn't that the case. It's not hate or racist to point out facts, Roy. I agree, Barry. I agree, and that's why I do it. I've studied the Middle East for a long time. I know a lot about it that I don't even bring up. A lot of people want to point just to Israel, but it's bigger than that. The Mossad and the Zionists and all that. There's so much more involved in that. I'm not saying they're not a part of it, but I don't want to lock in on just one thing here. But anyway, I worked with DEA. The assessment was over 90% meth coming from Mexico. Yeah, probably so. Duty on our country, or Trump's a one-term wonder. Great man, I can't disagree with you. But the American people select a guy, and then they think he's going to do all the work, and then they back off, and they don't hold the feet to the fire. And that's why from day one, when he was elected, and I was as happy as everybody else, I thought things would go on. And then he came out with that statement about Hillary that they're good people. I'm probably not going to prosecute him. I forget who was interviewing him at the time, but that was the first red flag for me. And then he started bringing in all these neocons. He had plenty of people to choose from, but he started bringing in neocon Trotskyites, deep state people, and I don't know. It doesn't look right to me. It just doesn't. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, but he's going to have to do something on this Vegas thing now. He's going to have to. And if he doesn't, and if people aren't starting to be, if they haven't been indicted already, to indict them and to start arresting people, then I'm sorry, but I've got to be suspicious of what Trump's really up to. It's just the way it is. Okay, and I just hope that he doesn't let us down. But who knows? But I'm going to get some people really upset at me by saying this. Okay, red flag with everything he proposed. It was all impossible like wall. Well, it's one thing to propose it. The ideas are good, and he has been blocked, okay? At least that's the play that's being shown, that he's trying to get these things done, but the guys in Congress, including the rhinos, are blocking him from doing it. Or is this another Mutt and Jeff routine? I don't know. Again, this thing with Vegas is going to be the dividing line right now. Right now. He's got to clear this thing up, and if this Q guy is right, or Q group, whatever, then we need to start seeing people in shackles today. Today. No later than tomorrow. Okay, complete with double flu shots and GMO popcorn. Yeah, that really upsets me. GMO popcorn. Jeez. Did you see McCain and Clinton? They're both wearing ortho boats. Yeah, I did. So possible. But boy, Clinton's sure shooting her mouth off still. And so is McCain. So I don't know. Yeah, I just don't know. With the oaths taken by our government, federal and state to Israel, what chance do we... Well, they don't take officially oaths to Israel, but I don't know what they do behind the scenes. A lot of these people don't obey their oaths to the Constitution. That's obvious. Agree, Roy, because Q says they plan other attacks. We need to know so we can be prepared. Absolutely. If Trump doesn't act on this and tell us what's going on, the blood is on his shoulders. It's on his hands because he knows the truth and he told us he would not lie to us. And I'm going to say it again. There are lies of commission, which he may not have done, but there are also lies of omission. Okay? And if he doesn't come out and spell it out the way it really is, then we've got a problem with Trump. Okay? Battlefield Vegas, yeah. The LVMPD used some of their armored vehicles. That's true. Which, why would they do that up and down the strip and other places? Obviously, other things were going on. This is the opening salvo. Get this, ladies and gentlemen. The opening salvo of the Saudi Arabian coup civil war started on U.S. soil. Do you understand that? Can you believe that the civil war, the coup, whatever you want to call it, in Saudi Arabia started on United States soil in Vegas with the assistance of deep state and intelligence community operatives who are for this bad side in Saudi Arabia. And actually, it's hard to tell who's the good side, who's the bad side. But you get my drift, right? You get my drift. Ivanka's a sweetheart, but she's out of her league. Jared Kushner is okay, I'm just going to say it. I think he's an evil dude. Okay? It's just the way it is. Did you know the Sky King military emergency message system was going nuts from Monday to Wednesday? I have heard about that. I did. I've been really busy. I've been doing a lot of stuff. You'll notice I was down for quite a while, and I can't really go into a lot of that. I'll just say what I've told a few friends, that I had eyes on 2 moving objects, okay, and I'll just leave it at that. And I wish it was the good kind, if you get my drift, but that wasn't what it was. There are some other things going on. How close are we to the New World Order? Wow. The AI is up and running, Sharon. The AI is up and running. It is sentient, and it's gaining power every single day. And, of course, the elite want to worship the AI as God. You saw that in a video I put out, I don't know, several weeks back about some people in Silicon Valley calling for it. Zach's assumptions of Yemeni terrorists, I don't think those are assumptions. The thing we got to remember is the Yemenis are getting the bad end of this deal, okay? They're Shiites by and large, and they've been attacked by the Sunni Muslims in Saudi Arabia because they claim to have the Yemenis having these ties to Iran. Frankly, I don't understand why we're so upset with Iran. You know, we were the ones that upset the apple cart in Iran back in the 50s when we overthrew Mossadegh. That was the CIA that did that. And everything that's happened in Iran since then really is because of that thing that we did there. The Shiites are not as bad as the Sunnis. I mean, I think Islam, by and large, is a problem, right? You know, I've said that before. But if I was going to pick one group, I'd pick the Shiites over the Sunnis. And yet the Sunnis and the Wahhabis, who were part of the Sunnis, are what we've got in Saudi Arabia. And now we know that they were part of 9/11, and they're definitely, whether it's the whole government or not, it's definitely a section of that government was responsible for what happened in Las Vegas. Now, as far as the Yemeni terrorists that Zach talks about, okay, you got a point. I'm not certain that the Yemenis are going to be involved in that. Honestly, you're right. I'm not certain that that's the case. It's probably going to be this rogue group from Saudi Arabia, just like it's been so many times, and they'll blame it on the Yemenis. Yeah, it could be. All right, very possible. Yeah, I agree. So Zach's information on that is probably because I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on this too, because he can't really reveal information that's classified. He'd get in trouble for that, as it was the FBI picked him up for what he said. So he probably had to use a little disinformation to get the basic information out, and yet it very well may not be the Yemenis at all. Absolutely. Does that make sense, everybody? Yeah, Murin and Soros were selling off, need to be interrogated. Oh, yeah, I agree with that. Why hasn't Soros been stormed by Delta Force? And Murin arrested by the FBI, not arrested, but at least interrogated, as you said. But we have reason, the Delta Force has a reason to attack Soros across the board at all of his locations. Yeah, swamp critters. Whose side is the FBI on? They've already said that they believe the American people to be their enemy. Okay? They're not on our side. Remember, the motto of my YouTube channel, the intelligence communities are our most dangerous domestic enemy. The FBI and the CIA are one now. All right? There's some problems in the NSA. All right? They're not for us. And I put that video out today explaining some of that. Is he related to Dick Cheney from Battlefield Vegas? I don't know. I don't know that. Who was being escorted out of the hotel by security in LV? Good question. Who was the guy laying on the floor in Mandalay Bay? You know, was there a shootout there? Did somebody have a heart attack? You know, we still don't know that. There's so much that they've not told us here. King Solomon has named his son an heir to the throne. Right. Right. And that exactly, whoever put that up, there's this internal conflict between the people that are behind Walid Talal and Prince Salman. Definitely, that's what I'm saying. It's a struggle. It's a civil war in Saudi Arabia, a coup. They were trying to kill Prince Salman, okay, and maybe the king too. I don't know. But just like I said in the very first part of this when I started doing it, there was a high-value target in this whole operation, and now we know that it was this Prince Salman. And so, yes, there was this coup, this civil war that's going on in Saudi Arabia. There's a civil war, a coup that's going on in our country. But the first few salvos in the Saudi Arabian coup civil war happened in Las Vegas. And Trump cannot allow that to stand. He has got to come out and explain what's going on here. I'll probably finish off my connection here for saying stuff like this. Yeah, the FBI creates patsies. Of course they do. I've been involved in the FBI officially, professionally a couple times, and I am not impressed. And they do stuff like that. Absolutely, 100%. You know, they were in the 80s, in the 70s, and 80s. And I had a personal thing with them when I tried to complain about an organization that was causing me some trouble, and it was nixed at the D.C. level because it involved, you know, elites, right? Okay? And they don't want to bring the elites down, just like they don't want to bring Clinton and Reid and those idiots down now. Beholden to Vegas money? I think Trump wants to do the right thing. God, I pray so. But again, here we are at this dividing line, this information. He cannot stay silent on this. We need to start seeing people, and I've said this how many times, people arrested, the indictments served, you know, these people brought in, charged in open court, and an explanation of this ridiculous official narrative from Vegas. And I've said that how many times now, so I don't want to beat a dead horse. Yeah, everybody knows what's happened anyway. That's why I say Trump's got to, put up or shut up. And I'm going to say it this way, okay? He's either got to shit or get off the pot, okay? That's really, really crude of me to say, but It's just getting outrageous at this point. McMaster is still in the White House. Okay, I've given Kelly a bit, you know, I've had to take Kelly in. I think he's had a change of heart. But this nonsense has got to stop. It's got to stop. False flags everywhere. I've told you, this is the time of enormous deceit, of enormous betrayal. Okay? We can't even trust the guy at the top at this point unless he starts proving some really important things. People died because of an act of omission here. At the very, very least, Americans were killed from an act of omission. As I said in my video today, talking about the NSA. What are we spending all this money for on the NSA? To go after the little Americans who are trying to support their liberties? And yet they can't stop something like this whole thing in Vegas? Are you kidding me? It was either planned that way or they're incompetent. You can't have it any other way, all right? You can't have it any other way. 300 sealed indictments. I don't know. You know, we've seen, somebody, Jimbo asked, what is my take on the 300 sealed indictments? Well, the fact of the matter is we've seen them. People have been able to bring those up, but nobody's saying anything. I don't know. And who put them out there? That was the question I raised at the beginning of this broadcast. I don't know who did it. Was it Mueller? I don't think so. You know, some people are trying to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's really working for Trump, but I don't know. You know, I don't know. I don't know. Apparently they're out there, but what are they doing? Follow the white rabbit. You know, that's right, Michelle. Did you see all of my stuff on that? I've talked about that quite a bit. Montegraph put out some good stuff too, although I think he's wrong thinking that the information was about false flags, because that's not really what Q's about. Q's about talking about cleaning out our government. Yeah, the girl from Colorado says it's public record on those. That's true on those indictments. But who they are, you know, who put them out there and who the names are, we don't know that, right? We don't know that. Okay, Trump is commander-in-chief, highest law authority. I agree. And I've said that, I don't know who said that, but I agree. He's got to stop passing the buck. Oh, why won't Jeff Sessions do it? Everybody tell the Attorney General to do his job. No. POTUS, that's your responsibility. Trump, that's your responsibility. Stop playing this game. I thought you were a man. You know, if it embarrasses the government, so be it. And I've said that since I was a first lieutenant in the Army. If it embarrasses the government, tough luck. All right? You know, this has just got to stop. Q is all about manipulating Trump supporters like watching. You know, Judy, you could be right about that. You could be right about that. To keep us asleep thinking that things are going to happen and they never do. But you see, Judy, that's why I'm saying this revelation from Tucker Carlson and all the other stuff that the independent investigators and journalists have done on Vegas, we know that it wasn't a lone wolf gunman by the name of Paddock in the 32nd floor. We know that that's not the case now, okay? And there's no way to get around that. So Trump, as commander-in-chief, had better stop a lie of omission and better tell us what the what the hell is going on, and he better say it right. 30 seconds, thank you. Thank you. Unless the people stand up, well, of course. You know, and absolutely, you know, the people have been asleep. You know, the intelligence communities and the New World Order and the media is the CIA, right? You've heard me say that before. MSM equals CIA. All of that. They got permission to lie to the American people and to use propaganda on us, which is an act of war, actually. So, yeah, and somebody had a question there, and I'm sorry I missed it. It was a real important, but I was talking too much. Yeah, salmon was at Tropicana. That's the way it looks at this point. Yeah. Are we at FUBAR yet? We've been at FUBAR for a long time. Long time. Okay. Is CIA above the FBI? No. But they are the same thing now. They're linked in. There's really no difference in actuality between those two organizations. They're doing the same thing. Okay. That was part of what the Boston bombing was all about, was putting the last stitches in that connection between the FBI and the CIA. Tucker Carlson show. Yeah, that's what I was just talking about. I'm sucking wind. That's why I'm doing this. I saw the video and I talked about it. I tried to send out a live stream on YouTube tonight. It kept getting interrupted. And now I'm doing this one. And I said that I've looked at the video and it definitely shows that first of all, there's something else besides a shooter in the Mandalay Bay. Okay, at the very minimum, I have some questions about some of the, well, a lot of the debris that's floating around there. I'm not sure what's going on, but at the very least, it shows that more was happening than just what was happening on the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay. Okay. Let's see. Any other questions? I missed a really important one there, and because I'm talking too much, I didn't address it. I'll try to spot it as it comes back up. They usually recycle here. Let's see. Could Trump be a tactic to have us trust the government? Yeah, it could be. There was a video I put out, I don't know, several months ago saying, it could be that he's a placebo. Now, if any of you all understand something here, I've got to take a real quick break. I'm still recovering from those medical things, so give me a minute and I'll be right back, okay? Don't go away. Talk to each other and I'll be right back. Okay, I apologize for that. I'm still recovering from some of this. I've got a lot of strength back, but I still have a few problems that I probably better not go into. No, that's somebody said they would have killed Trump a long time ago. No, I don't think so. These things are done delicately, as the Wicked Witch of the West and the Wizard of Oz said. These things must be done delicately, right? So no, they wouldn't necessarily have killed him months ago. But I do say, as I've said all along, that the rhetoric is not matching what we're seeing on the ground with Trump. It just isn't. But I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. This trip to Asia, the things that Q are saying, if that's for real, and there is some correlation, some corroboration there. But like I said, this thing with Saudi Arabia being involved in this Las Vegas shooting, this is Trump's moment to either put up or shut up, as I've said, and I won't get any more crude than that. Oh yeah, a lot of people are worrying about how many are really dead from Vegas. I'm sure we've lost a lot of people in the hospitals, but they don't even tell us about the basics of this thing. They're not going to tell us anymore. They want all that to be hushed up. The names of people that died and all that, they want to keep that dug way, way, way down so that nobody can follow up on the information. That's just the way it is. Yeah, coroner's office is still locked down. That's right. Alex Jones is a character. Yeah, no, that's not true, Corey. Yeah, people did die in Vegas. I have a friend that was shot there. I'm sorry, but you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. Okay, but I will say this. There was an actual incident where people were being shot, okay? And then there were fake, I'm going to say, parts of a drill going on elsewhere. And we've seen pictures from both. And they've melded them in to give us a picture that's a lot different than the reality of what happened. But no, people did die. Absolutely. Okay, no. You're wrong on that. 100%. Alex has been compromised, Barry. I don't know. Alex is about money now. He's got a big, huge organization that he's got to keep going. I don't advertise on my channel. Why? Because I don't have an organization, number one. Number two, I feel like truth shouldn't be something that you have to pay for. And I'm not saying I spout the truth all the time, but I'm definitely, I try to. That sounds like Clinton, doesn't it? My point is that to the best of my ability, I try to tell you what I know, okay, or what I suspect. but I don't have to pay anybody for that. Okay, and I'm never going to have a situation where and again, I could be demonetized by now or kicked off YouTube. Actually, they've threatened to do that a couple times. Alex, though, he's got a huge organization he has to feed, and that is a difficulty. But you know, one of the complaints I've had about him, and I'm missing a lot of questions here, but one of the things I said here in a video not too long ago. Oh, no, actually, I wrote into Alex's show on several of their accounts, and I said, you know, it's really getting disturbing that your show is becoming a continuous run-on advertisement for your products. You know, you compare the amount of time, and he always says, well, we don't plug enough compared to other radio hosts. I totally disagree. They'll plug during a time when they've got a guest on. Then they'll go to a break and they'll plug some more, and then they come back and they plug again, and then Alex, not so much anybody else, but Alex constantly interrupts the guests. So, you know, no, they're a continuous run-on commercial on InfoWars anymore, and it's really hurting the message, I think, and it's hurting their credibility. I understand they need the money to operate and all of that. I know that, but it's really being aggravating. So I agree. Okay, Pumpkinhead Alex Jones. Yeah, I think we would be worse off without Alex too. I have to agree. Alex has done a great service. It's just sometimes when you grow like he has, then you know you start. You don't see as clearly. Let's just put it that way. No, he's not Bill Hicks. No, I know that's not true for a fact. Nice try, Barry, but no, he's not. He might have the same personality as Bill Hicks, but he's not Bill Hicks. No, he's not. Yeah, he may be compromised. I see a lot of problems there. I do, but he has a great staff, and I can't possibly name them all. But you know, David Knight, who I met personally at Bundy Ranch, Rob Dew. Well, just everybody there. His staff is great. Alex, I have a problem with, you know, obviously. But anyway, he is kind of the gateway for the red pill, and that's been a very important thing for him to do. Rainbow Snatch. Oh yeah, Barry. Yeah, you know, I don't deal with married women. You know, as cute as Millie Weaver is, you know, I usually don't go down those things. But I thought that was a cute character she had. Yeah, I agree. Knight is almost as good as you. Almost as good as me. Oh no, Knight's a professional. He's an engineer. No, he knows his stuff. He's a very intelligent man, and you know he tells it like he's been the only one really on InfoWars who's kept track of the Bundy Ranch trials and what's happened there, and I can't thank him enough for that. But of course, he was there. He and I were there together. As a matter of fact, one day he interviewed me on live stream with Alex, and when Alex found out that it was me that he was interviewing, he threw a conniption fit because he doesn't like me to be on there for a lot. Well, my background has a lot to do with it, of course. Barry, Leanne's a sweetheart too. You know what? I have a lot of respect for Leanne, and she's beautiful too. And I would never denigrate her there. You know, the female form is very, very special. So no, I'm sorry, I can't go there, Barry. I like good women too much. Oh, believe me, you know, I got in a situation here. Now that we're on this, right? Barry, you're rude. Karen said that, not me, Barry. I like them. Yeah, me too, Barry. I'll tell you the story real quick. I was at a place, I won't tell you where and all that, but it was in California, a very high crime ridden area, and I was staying in an RV park helping somebody out. And I heard these shots going on because there's a lot of gang activity. I heard these shots, and the bullets were actually whizzing overhead of where I was staying in this one motorhome. And I had gotten to know the security guys there, and I hear these footsteps running because, you know, they're obviously going to come and talk to me because they know about my background. And they knock on the door frantically and they're saying, Roy, did you hear? They're shooting at us. They're shooting at us. And I opened the door and they said, Roy, what do we do? What do we do? And I said, dig a foxhole, and I slammed the door. I came out and helped them after that, but that's kind of what happened. It was really kind of funny. Okay, was Vegas part of Agenda 21? The whole thing? Yeah. Not directly, but with the Bundy deal and all of the stuff that's going on in Nevada. Yeah, it's tied in to the BLM, but it's in a way that'd be kind of hard for me to get to here. The the fact that uranium one is being looked at, they needed this thing to go down in Vegas. This is one reason why the deep state was going for it, to take the information out of the minds of the American people. But the problem is they screwed it up so bad, everybody could see the official narrative was wrong. They're trying to divert attention from uranium one and all that, and what they did to the Bundys and to the people up in Oregon, the Hammonds, and all those ranchers, all those farmers. Um, it was just a bad way to try to do it, and so people are seeing through it. George Webb has done much more than anyone will ever know. Thank God. Yeah, he has done a lot. Absolutely, he has. Okay, let's see. I think the same thing. Flying squirrel. Okay. Well, we've been going on for almost an hour here. Well, that's the bad thing about these live streams. You know, you can really get into it. When will the arrest come from these indictments? Phil, I don't know. You know, I've said for a long time, the canary in the coal mine for Trump is if he goes after Hillary Clinton and all of her ilk, right? That was the first canary in the coal mine. And now, and of course, these indictments and all of that, if they're really going after some of these deep state crooks, yes. And of course, the other one now, as far as I'm concerned, is this whole Vegas thing. So he's got two canaries in the coal mine at a minimum right now, and I don't see much happening on either one. And as I said at the beginning of this thing, that better change today. Today. Roy, Hillary is his cousin. He won't, but Will Sessions. Well, cousin way removed. I mean, everybody's related if you go back far enough, so don't get too tied into that. Arresting Hillary is the proof. I agree, Laura. I agree. Once Hillary is collared, and once they come out with this information on the truth of Vegas, then I'll believe that Trump is real. Right now, he's hanging on a real thin piece of line right now, real thin. All right, let me think of what else we can talk about here. Ben, I missed a really good question there a while back, and I wish I don't even know who put it up. Josh, I wish that Mueller was a straight shooter too, and that you know he really is working for the right side, and that all of this is a great intelligence operation. But you know, I don't know. You know, the proof is in the pudding. You know, right now I don't know. Yeah, we're probably related on sucking wind. Yeah, like I say, everybody is if you go back far enough, for sure. Conspiracies need to be looked at with objection. Remember, they do try to distract. Yeah, as several intel people have, Monograph for one has talked about this. Zach has too. The Q clearance Patriot has also said, and I'm very well aware of it as well, having worked in some intelligence for a while. True information and disinformation combined is very important so that you throw off the opposition. It's only when you look back at hindsight that you know what the truth was, and that's what Q is talking about. Why you keep that graphic, because as he gives this information out, and you look back on it, you'll be able to husk away, to rip away the disinformation, because that's not important. Of course, that was just you. What do I think of Steve Pachinik? At times I really like him, and at other times he makes me angry. You know, he went back and forth on the generals so many times I just got disgusted with him. 1 minute he was saying how good they were, and I'm talking about McMaster and Mattis and Kelly and all those other generals. And then the next day he'd be saying how bad they are, and that, you know, they're working on a coup. You know, he was all over the map. But you know, I got to give him credit. He's been in a situation where, you know, he's been at this for a long time, and I know he's constantly analyzing what's happening, and he probably is changing. But I'll just say it up front right now. Okay, I'll just say it up front right now, and I've said it many times. If there is a flag officer on active duty now, I think he's suspect. He or she is suspect, because the Obama purges got rid of all the good people. Okay, so anybody that's left after that is suspect, and that's how I look at it. Actually, anybody 06 or above at this point. And actually, it's starting to go down the line. You saw the USMA graduate, right, who was wearing Che Guevara, and the communists will win, will beat you. You know, we've had those people in the military for a long time. I know. I ran into them. All right. Anything else here? Like I say, we've been going. Trump is a bit... I missed that. Boy, this goes through quick. I've heard some connections on the Bitcoin thing. I'm not a financial guy, and I apologize for that. As a matter of fact, I talked to somebody else about that today. I'm really not a financial guy. I understand the basics. I know about the Federal Reserve. I know about what happened with the situation with 2008 and the real estate market and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and all that. But the details of how all that works financially, that's not me. I'm sorry, it isn't. Is Q the eye of Soros? Wow, that's an interesting statement. That's an interesting statement. And I grin and I laugh, but really this is all tragic. It's all tragic. Which comes back to something else that I said earlier today. Don't get so wrapped up, everybody, in all this horrible stuff that we're keeping track of that you don't appreciate the good things in life. Your family, your loved ones, the mountains, the beach, whatever. You got to keep a balance. And I've been guilty of not doing that as well. And that's why I put those things out today, that it's so important for us to do that. So just keep that in mind. Try to realize that despite all the evil that's around, we really have a beautiful world here, and God has already put on the show. The show is out there for us all to see, and it's magnificent. And each of us is a true piece of art. We really are, and this is all God's handiwork. So there are a lot of good things, despite the evil people out there who try to hurt us and God's creation. Okay, the light will always drown out the dark. Eventually, that's true. That's true. Eventually, the global economy is crashing. Yes, I do see a lot of signs of that, but I'm not a really good forecaster. Although I look at Gerald Celente and these guys. How long have they been saying the crash is coming now? For how many years? It's going to be in the next 6 months. Oh, and then they start saying, oh, it's going to be next year, and then oh no, it's going to happen tomorrow. The thing is they're like the dealer in Las Vegas. They're in control of the cards. The people that control the economy are the people in control of the deck of cards, and so they can manipulate them any way they want. I guess it is hard to be a financial forecaster, but regardless, there are a lot of problems. I see the prices rising right now. In different commodities and different things that we buy at the stores. I can see it. Roy, have you done any research on Uranium One on the Bunny Ranch? We do know about the minerals. I haven't done it myself. There was a BLM whistleblower who talked about the minerals on there. I do believe uranium was one of them. But the real deal with Bundy Ranch was with Harry Reid trying to get control of that so that they could be the middleman in the sale to China and get that money at the expense of the American people from the sale of that land and the minerals on it, which would include uranium if they were there, of course. Have you seen Jason Goodman and Quinn Michaels talk about the coin? What is Bitcoin? Yeah. Bitcoin is basically a digital currency, but they do make the hard Bitcoins themselves. It's you can actually get those, but they're not really worth anything. They're not precious metals. They're just a symbol, basically. Why Melania to Alaska? That's a good question. I'm surprised somebody brought that up. I saw that, and I was wondering about that too. I'm not sure. It could be, I'm not saying this, but it could be that Trump is worried about his family, and they just need to be away from him. Maybe he's entering into a situation now that could be dangerous, and he just doesn't want his sweetheart there. Very possible. I don't know. I'm starting to lose my voice. Sorry. Antarctica, yeah, that's another thing. Anybody watch Jordan Sather, Destroying the Illusion? He does some great stuff on Antarctica. He's done some great stuff on the Las Vegas shooting. Jordan Sather's just a great guy. Anyway, I met him in person. Okay, he's a real guy. I met him in person. We sat down in a coffee shop and visited for about an hour or two one day, and discussed some things. And he's a great guy. I know he has some what I will call esoteric ideas, but that's good. That opens up our eyes to a lot of other things. And there are some spiritual things that we can also call esoteric. That's almost quid pro, almost the same thing. So I like Jordan. Yeah, go look at some of his stuff on Antarctica. It's really cool. Like, yeah, he talked about John Kerry going down there. Yeah, and other leaders like Putin and others. Something's going on down there. There's no doubt about it. Remember, this is the time when God's pouring out His Spirit on all flesh. And as I've said before, and things are being revealed that we didn't know about before. As far as Field McConnell, he and I have been associated loosely, not real close. I mostly know people that work for him. But I've known about Field now for a number of years, probably about 5, I guess, something like that, 5 or 6. And he does great research. His people do great research. He's kind of a character. You got to acquire a taste for Field. Let me put it that way. Okay, you got to acquire a taste for him. But he's very intelligent. He knows his stuff, and he does good work. And his people, his staff, like, they're great. They're absolutely great. And I deal directly with some of them. Lugels. Oh, now who's saying this? Truth Freeze. Lugels. What brought that up? Thank you for mentioning that. Actually, I'm doing something very similar. Thank you. I'm doing that. Thank you. I'll just say I'm doing it. But it's a little different than that, but it's basically the same thing. Okay, it's to be alive. Yeah, it's a great time. Interesting to be alive. Absolutely. You have to understand economics as well as other systems to know if a leader is bullshitting. I agree. And I'm a little weak on the financial side. I understand that, but I do know when I'm being conned. All right, from a financial person, and the Federal Reserve is a big con, obviously. Okay, where will we put our money is the whole pie. Yep, the Hunting Hitler series. Yeah, I know about that. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you, Brandon. True. Same to you. There seems to be a lot. Oh, no. Yeah, very good, Thaddeus. No, there is no difference. I'm just going to say it again publicly here. There's really no difference between the leadership of Israel and the leadership of Saudi Arabia. And I don't want to get into details about that, but they're really the same people, historically, genetically, everything else. And I'm not going to get into that in a whole. It was a Mutt and Jeff routine that was set up by MI6 or the British intelligence. Okay, a long time ago. It's a point of to keep things stirred up, but they're actually two sides. They're the same puppet masters controlling both of those, and it's actually worse than that, because you could say the whole world's controlled by just one or two puppet masters. But the thing between Israel and Saudi Arabia is a drama that was thought up and written up as a theatric many years ago, and you can see it playing out. And I won't go into more detail of it than that. Think Sophia is a bad scene. What Putin has for AI. I'm not going to touch that. All I'm going to say is that Putin sees the problem. It's obvious that he does. Kabbalah. Yeah. Do you know what that means? Individual mind. Do you know what Kabbalah means? It has nothing to do. See, Kabbalah means to receive. It's actually a Hebrew word. It has the Allah part of it. You'd have to understand the history of Islam and where it came from. And I've said that on some posts probably a couple of years back, that Islam was a hybrid between the Talmud and Christianity. Okay, it was meant to be that way. They tried to take what they thought would be people would like in both of those and combine them. And so, just so you know, okay, the Allah there is not quite what you think in Kabbalah. All right, especially the way you spelled it. Okay, the sounds do you understand the difference between translation and transliteration? And so when you do a transliteration, you have to be careful, because you can make that kind of a mistake, thinking that it's talking about Allah, the Islamic God, and that's not the case. So be careful between transliteration and translation. You've got to be very careful when you do that. Okay, I saw somebody said there that Putin had outlawed some Christians. That's fake news, by the way. I hope you know about that, Barry. We've already debunked that. There were some other things that were going on there, but he did not do that. And go back and check it. You'll find it's not quite. It seemed like that's what was going on, but it wasn't. Saudi Arabia imports practically everything. True. Their economy is really dependent on that. Okay. Do you know anything about Palantir Technologies? You mean Palantir Technologies or Palantir? I'm not sure. I know about Palantir, if that's what you meant to spell. Yes, I do know about that. And that was the deal behind Jade Helm a few years ago in geospatial engineering, and why I was so concerned about it, even though people in the military got, oh no, we're not doing anything wrong. We're not doing anything wrong. We're for the American people. Da 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 da. I know it for a fact, Roy. I guess you're talking about what we were just saying there. Okay, very well. You know, I don't know. We'd have to look at that. But we're jumping around. I'm sorry these things go so fast. Fear Allah. Yeah, not like you're supposed to fear the real God, that's for sure. Okay, let's see. Paddock already deceased before shooting. Yes, I believe. Well, the guy laying on the floor was dead before the shooting started, absolutely. I don't think that's Paddock. There are too many discrepancies in the skeletal. When you do some profiling and you do the overlays, it just doesn't look like Paddock. There's some other things like the earlobes and some other stuff. I don't think it's two different people. If that's Paddock on the floor in the Mandalay Bay, the pictures of Paddock where he's holding the whiskey cup, and I've told you about that before, that's not Paddock. So it's, it can't. They're two different people. Absolutely. Yeah, I know, Barry. Allah is supposed to mean God in Arabic. I understand that. Yeah, I do. And that's why I don't get upset by people calling God by different names. Actually, the God of the Hebrew Testament, the Old Testament, has many names. I don't know if you all know that, and I'm not going to spend time on that here. But there are many names. I'll just give you a couple of them. Probably the one that most everybody would know would be the Lord of Hosts, which is a name of God, and it's Yahweh Sabaoth, right? So, yeah, and then you can talk about Yahweh, and you can talk about the 72 names of God, which you see in the division of the Red Sea, the dividing of the Red Sea. And I know, Barry, you're talking about Jehovah. That's the Yahweh, and I know where you are on that. But they're titles. Exactly, Barry. Exactly, they're titles. Exactly. Very good. Titles are names. President, vice president, POTUS. Okay, yeah. Are there lawsuits against Las Vegas Metropolitan Police? I think there's one starting now, which Tucker Carlson, with his review of that situation with the video and the helicopter, very likely. Yahweh was a malevolent E.T. Yeshua spoke of the true creator. Well, be careful with that. Be careful with that. I'm not going to tell you what to believe, but I don't believe that. Okay, where that comes from is the difference between First Genesis and Second Genesis, because in First Genesis it talks about God Elohim, right? And then all of a sudden in the second chapter of Genesis, that's where the Yahweh Elohim comes in, and so people start thinking that that's a different God. Again, it's the situation of where the creation is taking place between the spiritual world and the material world, but that's another deal altogether. If you are on a fast chat and straight shooter, truth freaks. Why was POTUS in LV? Good question. We haven't proved that yet, but either he was there during this whole thing that was going down and may have been one of the high value targets, as we were talking about, trying to meet the king or whatever. That's why I say he's got to come out and just say what's going on here. Okay, it could have been he was a high value target, absolutely, because they don't. The faction that Talal represents in Saudi Arabia doesn't like Trump because of what he was doing, to get the Sunnis and the Wahhabis to change their modus operandi and their what they're doing. Okay, all of that. Okay, yeah, Sandy Hook, boy, yeah, and then the woman reporter shot in Roanoke. That guy that's running for Senate or Congress now, supposedly his boy or her boyfriend. If you go back and you look at that real close, you can see that was definitely done. A lot of it was done in a sound stage. It's real obvious. People have made movies like me. We know it when we see it. And the running boards on the area where supposedly she was shot, changes from scene to scene. From the real pictures that were taken, probably by a news chopper, to the way that they built the set. It was obviously different. Okay, please tell that backstory about the shooting. The backstory. Sorry, I'm not sure I know what you're talking about. Did Maverick Helicopters extricate? Well, let's not say it was for sure Maverick Helicopters at this point. Let's not say it's for sure it's Maverick Helicopters. It could have been a cover. I don't know. The problem is that the transponders and the call signs are up for grabs right now. We're not really sure. I don't want to implicate Maverick Helicopters, but there's certainly a possibility of that. Okay. Um, Delano, yeah, that's the hotel. At least one of the, I'm going to call them the, in the military you have overwatches, if you understand how tactics work. And it's possible that there was no shooting from Delano Hotel, but that was an overwatch position. I'm just not sure. Again, all this could be cleared up real quick by Trump if he wants to. Trump live press conference in a few minutes. Really, Melissa? Okay, well maybe we should break here because hopefully something good comes out of that. I'm not holding my breath. Okay, I'm really tired of really information without any substance. I'm really tired of it, and I think most of us are. Oh yeah, no doubt. Catherine Lombardo is a lawyer involved. Is she related to Lombardo? Probably. There's so much nepotism in the Las Vegas metropolitan government down there that it wouldn't surprise me at all. It's just like the undersheriff whose wife is lieutenant over the. It has something to do with the internal affairs division or something. She's investigating the Vegas thing instead of the homicide detectives. It's all BS. It's all BS. Well, let's go ahead and stop this now. Let's go see what Trump is going to say. I've really taken this way too long from you guys, and I apologize. Um, can anyone ever get information from NSA in Utah? Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming. Do you shave your butthole? No. No. And I'll end on this note. And I'm going to make some people angry here, but since somebody brought it up, I got to tell you about this. Do any of you know who Sam Kinison is? And this is a really crude way to end this transmission, but what the hell, right? Sam Kinison was that short, really loud comedian from the 80s, and he was giving a live stand-up show. He couldn't get away with it today, but I'm going to go ahead and say it here. I'll leave out a few things, so hopefully they don't shut down my channel for this. But he says, yeah, I want to know how one guy finds love and another guy's okay. So that was Sam Kinison that said that. Fair use. I'm just repeating what he said. Okay, everybody, thanks for coming. Let's all jump on Trump and tell him no more lies of omission. He promised not to lie to us, but not just lies of commission, there are lies of omission. And he needs to come clean with Vegas, and he needs to come clean with what's going on with Clinton and all of her ilk, okay? God bless everybody. I hope you have a great night, and thanks for putting up with me. We'll talk to you later out here.